Yo, hi, finally I got this green screen right. It was doing a Bruce Lee on me last night. Anyway, I got right. So what I wanted to tell you is what God has been telling me about who He created first in the beginning. God made it very clear to me that in the beginning, with His own bare hands from dust, He created black people first. And He said those black people were Khoisan. He didn't even say any other name. He just said Khoisan as it is. So Adam and Eve were Khoisan. But before then, he had also told me that the Garden of Eden is the African continent as a whole, with no specific region. So in a vision, last year, I recorded it in a book because I always record all these visions over the years, since he said I must put it properly in a book form so that it can be documented, which will be the information that the generations to come of our people will absorb. In a vision, he's showing me, it's like as if I was watching a book. It was like as if I was reading through a book. I'm seeing kids playing in the courtyard, and I saw a man. He says, in the beginning, I created a man with my own bare hands as a king, and a woman as a queen, and I gave them 3 kids. So each family consisted of 3 kids, which he created them by his own bare hands from dust. 3 kids consist of 2 girls and 1 boy. These people never wore anything. They only had something in front to cover their front, but they basically wore nothing. He says they were thick. He even showed me they were actually thick, dark. And yeah, like this picture is a typical, that's why I've got this picture here for you to see the first people God created from scratch, from research. When he started them from dust, he was making a research. So he says this thickness was not fat, it was muscles and tissues only, because he was even referring to the people of our days that have got big thighs and big behinds, that it's fat. That I will give you another information next time for the next video, because he's saying that black people must go back to the origin. So I'll give you that information. Now I just want to take you step by step. So in this vision, while I was seeing these 3 kids, these kids playing in the family as a whole, the woman literally turned to me, because that when I was it was like I was reading through a book, but that book turned into motion. The pictures became motion, and it was like I was watching a movie. And that woman turned to me, eating something like a peach. She was holding it like this. She was eating it like, and she turned to me. She says, "Isn't it amazing how God created us from scratch, from research?" As she was saying this, she was saying it with a British accent, like a British accent, with that accent complete. But she was dark herself. So I thought that was it. I think that was the last time I saw her. I woke up, I documented everything. So last week when I was busy praying, I was in my fasting. She just came through and she started giving me information about how they lived their lives. She told me that they used to live with animals, and they had a relationship with animals, and they never used to eat the animals because they were like families, and they used to ride on them. They used to send the animals around. She told me that their diet was herbs, and they ate from the nature. She just said God provided. She kept on using this word like God provided, God provided. And she said that they only ate fruits of the forest, and animals like lions. They never used to eat meat. They used to eat grass as well, because then there was no sin. Remember, these are the people that God created from scratch, from research, with dust. These were not born from a woman. These people, after God created Adam and Eve, he told me that he didn't stop there. He continued planting people around, just that Adam and Eve were the epic of the whole situation, the events, because they were the first people. But then God, they were not the only people he created. He went out and about planting more people around. She said they worked hard. Show me how hard they worked. They built roads so that these roads could connect them to each other. They would ride animals to go to different places, and they would also send these animals to get food for them and to get things for them. So the information, she was talking a lot. She told me a lot of information that was quite interesting, just that because it's a video, and I wanted to take you through bit by bit how people lived. So the next video I'm going to make you is how the next people, how the other races came about. Because from there we've got Caucasian people, we've got the Chinese, we've got the Japanese, we've got the Indians. All these other people came through what God calls genetic evolution. People call it the ifs gene. The people of these days, they call it the ifs gene, but God doesn't use that word. He uses the word genetic evolution. When I said, God, what is a genetic evolution? He says it's when, it just says when cells are changing and recreating themselves to create new other people. Like if somebody, let's say black people have melanin, that the next gene was, he reduced, it kept on reducing of whatever black people was, the hair, because our hair is kinky, that gene kept on reducing of what the black people are, so that these other people can have softer hair, they can have lighter skin. And when they started mating, like having offsprings, those kids started they started rebuilding each other in that kind of a nation. That nation of Chinese was built, that nation of Japanese was built. But I'll show you with pictures. I actually got you some pictures to show you all these things, how these people evolved from black people. So that is the most interesting part of it. And one thing he told me that, he said I'm not the first person he sent to correct this information, because he said I must make sure that people know the truth about what really happened in the beginning, because what we've been fed and what we've seen in movies and in books is information where we see long hair Caucasian people thinking Adam and Eve were like that. God said that information, in fact, was just distorted. He said information was here in Africa in the beginning. These people that I'm telling you about, they recorded. Even that lady I'm telling you about, that God said that God created with their own hands. She even told me they had schools. They even taught their kids of God. They taught kids of nature. They recorded things. Things were not recorded later. They've been being recorded throughout. But information was stolen and taken away. And then when that information came back to Africa, it was distorted. And we bought into that information because the images, the visions were right there before us, and we couldn't contest it because we had no any other information to go against it. Any other information was meant to disappear. He told me that he once sent a man. He showed me this man in a vision, which I could see that it was generations back. This man was from long, long back. I could see him busy writing a book, He was writing a Bible, in fact, this man. He said that Bible that he had sent him to write was correcting this information that I am telling you now. But I think that man gave that book to someone to duplicate it. And that information was meant to disappear. God said that book never saw the day of light. It was meant to vanish. So that's why God realized that even if he keeps on sending other people before technology, things won't work out. This information will never see the day of light. So I think he just waited for technology to come into play so that when I can talk about it, I'm going to put it on TikTok. How many people are going to see it? How many people are going to see it? You see how smart God is. He just waited for technology so that we can correct this information. He says we must not back down with this. And he actually told me, don't back down. You are going to tell the people the truth about who I am and what I did in the beginning. There's more information. I'm just going to take you step by step because I know this is too much for you. It's going to be too. That's why I also kept it for a long time, because I was like, how do I get this information out? But here it is. This mission, God said, it's called God's Glory on Center Stage, and I'm going to run with it.